So here's a speedometer gauge, and we're going to repair the odometer function and the tripmeter function. Though this gauge is working, the speedometer is functioning properly. So it only means that the signal from the speed sensor is going through this speedometer gauge, and there's no wiring problem from the speed sensor going to this speedometer gauge. It only means that there's something wrong with this, and this is the problem: the motor that drives the odometer and the tripmeter. So this video applies only to speedometer gauge that uses a speed sensor and not the cable type speedometer. As you will see here, this is an electronic type that gets a signal from the speed sensor and not the cable type. Usually the cable type, you will see a round part here where the cable is inserted. Here there is no port for the speedometer cable, as this is a electronic type speedometer gauge. So we're going to dismantle this to access this motor and repair the motor here. Remember that you don't need to remove the needle anymore. It's just hard to calibrate it back again. There's a proper removal. The proper removal is to remove this back part here and not the front part. Calibration of the needle to the proper range, the proper speed if you remove the needle, is very time consuming, and for me it's not the proper way. So the first thing to do here is to pry the 4 metal tabs here, as you'll see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you will also need to desolder the 6 pins of the motor drive for the odometer function and the tripmeter function. Actually, the gear for the odometer and the gear for the tripmeter is rotated by this motor. So this motor drives both gears. We will start by desoldering these 6 pins. And now I've desoldered the 6 pins here, and now the next step is to pry the metal tabs here. You don't need to desolder these 4 pins here for the motor drive for the speedometer. We will start prying this metal tab. We'll just straighten it. We just need these small side cutting pliers. So there you go. Then the next step is to remove the melted plastic here from the plastic of the motor drive. It's factory melted so that it locks in place to this PCB, to this board. So there you go. And now the board is ready for removal. So you just hold here and hold to the board, the PCB, and you just wiggle it slowly, pulling it out. There you go. So this is the board. You clean the soldered area here. There you go. Now you see the back part of the speedometer, and now you will have to remove this motor here. As you'll see, the motor here is just locked in place by these 2 tabs here. So you just need to pull it out. You need to pry these 2 tabs here while pulling this motor out in this direction. So there you go. It's hard to avoid that. As you'll see here, there are 2 gears. This is for the odometer and this is for the tripmeter. And at the center, this is the motor that drives both gears. You'll see here that the motor gear is not spinning when you try to rotate it. So we need to open this motor. The problem is inside this motor. See, it's very hard to spin, it's very hard to rotate. And to open this, as you'll see, there are 4 locks, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's factory melted to hold it in place. And the only way to open this is to remove the melted plastic. So we'll be needing this hobby knife and remove the plastic by cutting it with this blade. Careful with your fingers. Always position your fingers out of the direction of the sharp end of the blade. Don't position your hand like this, and while positioning the blade here, that's very risky. So place your fingers at the back there, and here I position my finger here at the back below this area where the blade might possibly snap because of a sudden force. If it slipped, you need to remove all of it. There, as you'll see, it's now flat. And the other end, there you go. And now to pry open this front section here and lift the front cover. There you go. As you'll see here, the gear is not rotating. So remove this gear. There. And next is to remove this gear. And that's the pinion of the motor. You'll see. Let's check if it's rotating. It's not rotating. So that's the culprit. The motor is stuck. So lift this black plastic, remove it. There you go. There's a washer. So remove this shim washer. And this is the problem. It's hard to rotate. There you go. This is the reason why it's not rotating properly. There's corrosion on the shaft. So we need to remove that corrosion here. We need to remove that corrosion. There's no corrosion at the back, only here at the front. So we'll remove the rust here. So there's also a shim on this side. We need to remove that. So there you go. You need to wipe this clean. You need also to clean the gear for any dirt that may possibly impede the operation of the gear set here. And here we also need to clean this hole here where the shaft is inserted to because of the corrosion. The problem is the hole is too small, and even this cotton buds is hard to insert. But it did. It worked. So let's also clean on the opposite side. There you go. Also this. Let's clean it. So remove the dirty grease. Might impede the proper operation of the gear. As you'll see, the gear is so small. It can easily be affected by dirt. Also the lint. You need to remove the lint from the cotton buds. So far it's clear. And now to place a small amount of grease here at this side. Also on the opposite side. There you go. And to install the shim, the front side and also on the opposite side, the back side. And also to place some grease here at the center part, also this flat part here, also a small amount here, and also here. There you go. Now to test if it moves freely. There you go. Now moves freely. Also to place some grease here. There you go. Only a small amount. And to insert this back here. There you go. Now let's try to rotate the pinion gear. There you go. It moves freely. And now to install the gear here. This one first. Check for dirt. We need to remove any dirt. Install it back. There you go, it rotates. And this bigger gear here, so you'll see it's now spinning. And now to install this cover here, there and there, and to double check, there you go, the motor gear is now spinning freely. And now to refasten these 4 locks here, make sure the front cover of the motor is fully seated to the back cover. And now we're going to remelt the plastic so that it will lock in place. Just use your soldering iron. You can also melt it this way. Just melt the center part and it will flare out. There you go. You can also use a super glue here at the side, just a little only. Make sure you cover the center part, the black plastic, and the front part and the back part of the motor. Also here, let's add some here for added security. There you go. So just let it dry first. You can also clean the dial face of the speedometer using a cotton buds. Light only, don't press it too hard. Just remove the dust. Also here at the needle. So there you go. You can also clean this board. There you go. Also here at the back, the plastic part, the clear plastic, where the illumination light transfers or spreads its light into the dial of the gauge. When holding this, careful not to touch the needle. That is a sensitive part of this speedometer gauge. And now to install the motor back to this speedometer gauge, as you'll see here, there's a guide here, both sides, that will slide on this slot. Just position this motor with the pins up, align this guide here to this slot. Don't hold your fingers here at the back. You only hold the gauge here at the side, so don't hold here because this is sensitive. Your fingerprint will mark on the dial gauge. To install this, pins up, gear on this side, and it's a little hard. Again, don't hold your fingers at the dials. Hold here, then press down. There you go, locked in place. And now to install the board. So installing this board, just align the pins to the holes on the PCB, and also of course these 4 pins here for the motor. And you have to press it again, hold here and here. So you can temporarily install this screw and pull the screw out. You can pull the screw out while pressing the board in. There you go. I think it's fully seated already. And remove the screws again. There you go. And to press the metal tabs here back into its position flat, you need to flatten it, bend it. So there you go. I bent all the metal tabs And now to resolder the pins of the motor here at the PCB. So there you go, it's now soldered again. Double check against bridging or else it will get shorted. So there you go, this speedometer gauge is now ready for installation at the complete gauge cluster, and I will show you that it's now working again. So that's all. I'll just show you how to install this back to the gauge cluster and then demonstrate that the odometer is now functioning already, and also the tripmeter. So thanks for watching. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and click the bell icons and select all, like and share my videos. Thank you.